This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story?
Every British actor has to pass through Casualty, The Bill, Doctors or Holby City at some point in their career. Today's guest did all three back to back, and then he got his first breakthrough regular role in Grange Hill. And all of this without going to drama school. He broke into film with Tormented and Centurion, following this up with George Clooney's Monuments Men, but you may know him best for the hit TV show Riviera or Apple TV's Foundation. We chat about those near misses, not getting distracted by other actors' trajectories, and almost getting to work with Sir Anthony Hopkins in Amazon Prime's Those About to Die. Our guest today is actor Dimitri Leonidas.
Hey Elliot, how you doing?
Thanks, man, for taking the time. Thank you. I know, are you in England at the moment? Is it hot where you are?
No, I'm not in England. I'm actually, I flew to San Diego for Comic-Con and then I've just stayed in LA for a bit. Yeah.
Oh, fair. I can't complain about the heat thing because where you are is obviously a lot hotter than where I am. But no,
is it
England.
sunny in England finally?
Yeah, it's finally sunny. There's not a cloud in the sky and it's about 32 degrees, which.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's so if I start sweating, it's not because of sun condition. It's I'm in the attic. I'm in the attic, so I've closed all the windows to make sure there's no screaming children or cats, dogs, whatever.
That's all good. Yeah, they can join.
Very hot, but yeah, man. Thanks for joining us, and I'd love to just before we chat about like your latest project, I'd love to chat about how. You know, for you you've been doing an acting for a long time now. How did that come about? You're obviously, I guess, you know, a child actor, really.
Yeah.
Like, how did that all begin?
Yeah, I mean, I've got three sisters, and when I was younger, they were into like singing and stuff, and my mum would take them to like singing lessons, and then Steph, my older sister, she wanted to try acting. So there was this, I wouldn't even really call it a drama class. It was like, it was this after school club. It was like a room above a pub in Wembley. And the lady that ran the classes, she was like an agent to the kids that would go there. She had a few connections to casting directors and she would get the kids like extra work if they wanted to do it. And, my mum was encouraging me to go to these classes, and I wasn't really that interested. And after a while, I was like, fine, you know, I'll try it. And I loved it. At that age, it was really just like playing improvisational games, and it was really informal. It was like a place to sort of leave your kids after school while you go and do other stuff. Parents go and do other stuff. But it's a credit to Sharon Harris was the name of the woman that ran these classes, and yeah, she put me up for a part in Grange Hill. Do you remember Grange Hill?
Yeah, I do, man. Fondly, very fondly.
Yeah,
yeah. You were a big part of that as well. It's not like you did one or two episodes. You were like properly in it, and that must have been was that a bit mad? Like suddenly being a part, I guess, a show that you would have been aware of as well at the time.
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, it was such a long time ago. It's strange even thinking back to it that, you know, it must have been one of the first sort of auditions I'd really gone in for. And I don't think I really even knew what, you know, like I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And yeah, joined the cast of Grange Hill, became a sort of series regular in the show and met some wonderful people. So I've still got some friends today that were other cast members on the show, and they're not acting anymore. Like they you know, like a lot of the kids that were in the show, they weren't necessarily wanting to be actors. If you were, you had like a sort of Sylvia Young contingent that were like really trying to pursue a career in acting. I think I was just a kid at the time, seeing where it led. There was no master plan or anything. You know, she was encouraging of the kids that were at the class to take advantage of the fact that she had these casting directors, and should they want to, and should, if she felt that they could sort of do it, and she would put them up for little auditions. And so I did some extra work on some films as a kid, and the odd episode of like, Holby or Casualty or The Bill when that was
Yeah,
going.
I saw that. I mean, normally, one of those is a rite of passage, but you almost
I
did
did
all
all
of
of
them.
them.
You did all of them. Holby City Doctors, like you did the lot.
Yeah, I did Doctors. That's right.
It's
Yeah,
impressive. You were on a tear, man, when you
I was on a
started.
tear up of
Yeah,
the British,
yeah,
serial TV shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Amazing.
Um, that was a great learning, experience because you learn what it is to be on set. And I didn't go to drama school um, after that, so I was learning as a sort of teenager, and
Mm.
then there's that sort of like, do you go to drama school? Do you not? And instead, I thought, well, having had a little bit of experience, perhaps I just keep trying to go
Mm.
with that.
That's refreshing, man, because it's nice to hear that because I think for young actors listening to this, it's hard to know what to do. And sometimes, myself, I didn't go to drama school. I'm an actor myself, and I didn't go because I have a learning difficulty. I'm dyslexic, and I thought I
Right.
may struggle with some of the written word stuff and things like that. So I think it's important, and it's nice to hear sometimes when an actor's like, I didn't go to drama school, but
Yeah.
I still managed to get my foot in the door and actually, I mean, as we said before, you did Doctors, Holby City, all of them straight out of the gate. So who needs drama school? But you mentioned there a little bit about Grange Hill and obviously getting that
Mhm.
first sort of substantial, being a young kid at the time, getting that job. Did you at that age, such a young age, did you kind of realize how big that was at the time? Like how much of an opportunity that was, or
I mean, I guess it's hard to say. I mean, I remember thinking like I didn't really want people at school to know that much because
Hmm.
I knew it was going to come out and they were going to see it. But it was more, in the sort of like school I was going to, I was like, this is not something you don't want to draw more attention to yourself.
Yeah.
So, so I was kind of I felt very proud about doing it, and I very much enjoyed doing it, and it was kind of this thing that was like, when it was out on a Tuesday after school, I could go home and I could watch it on telly, and there I was, and it was like surreal, and then it becomes strangely not normal, but like
Mm-hmm.
you're like it's a thing that you're doing. Um, as I said, that time there was no sort of master plan of like I'm going to be an actor, and this is the beginning of that. It was I had almost fallen into it. Um, and I think, as you were saying, there are routes into the industry that aren't just via drama school. Um, and mine was a particular one that came about from my sister sort of pursuing it really first. But yeah, I mean, I guess I knew it meant something being in a show like that, and I knew from some of the other kids in the show who were sort of wanting a career in acting and were sort of living large off the fact they were in Grange Hill, and it was like a thing that they were it was the center of everything for them. It was like to be in this show, it was the beginning of their Hollywood career kind of thing. And I always
Yeah.
thought that seemed a bit naive and a bit kind of strange. And
Mm.
I never really had my sights in that direction. It was just like, I'm getting paid to do this. This is a job. It's an incredible job. I'm having so much fun.
Mm.
Um, Anything other than that, I don't think I was really sort of seeing anything further yet.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I hope that sort of answers the question. I
No,
mean,
no, it
it's
does. Yeah, no, it does. It must have been an odd one to navigate at that young age. And did you
yeah.
have, obviously from there to, getting your next job and slowly those stepping stones that create a career.
Mhm.
Did you have a moment where you thought, oh, okay, right, I'm in the right place here. This is what I should be doing. I'm pursuing the right thing.
It always it feels so. I think again, going to drama school, it gives people a clear gateway because you leave drama school and you're clear within yourself that you're about to try and start becoming an actor. You know what I mean? Whereas for me, it was always like I've not had any training. I'm constantly. It feels like you're sort of outside of the industry
Mm.
trying to sort of tap and find a way in. There's no formal way of being like, and in your own head, you're going, am I just going to keep trying until it doesn't work? What am I doing? And you have all these sort of conflicting arguments in your head. Um, somewhere inside, I always knew I wanted to keep doing it, and I was like, I will continue to try.
Mm.
Um, and then in my 20s, like I done because of Grange Hill and because of those, doctors and Holby, I managed to get an agent that was a slightly more established agent. It was still someone who is not, one of these big agents that has all, the connections to the studios, et cetera, et cetera. It was a very sort of intermediate agent who took me on because they could see that, right, you've done a few eps, you obviously are hireable, you're not a complete lunatic, you can go on set and do the work and learn your lines. And so I just kept, building through that avenue of trying to get a better rep and anyone that could, audition for everything, whatever anyone would see me for, whether it was a bit part in a short film or, I mean, I tell you one that was a strange thing. Do you remember Narnia, Prince Caspian?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I was 19 when they were casting that, and
Right.
I had auditioned about 8 times for it. They kept bringing me back in,
Mm-mm.
and the casting director was like, "I don't know what's going on. Like they like you. I'm not sure why there's not an offer coming in." And then I flew to LA with Ben Barnes,
Yeah.
um, and we met the director, and obviously Ben got the job. But that was a weird point because the agent they did this thing before I flew to LA. They wanted to get the contracts sorted before I went out
Oh,
in
right.
case I got the part. So they were like offering this ridiculous amount of money for the film, and then if there was a second film, they would double it, and if there was a third film, there'd be more money. And I was 19, going, I'm still, I was hoping I'd be an actor, and now you're suddenly got this opportunity to be in this huge
Mm,
Prince Caspian job, and it didn't work out, obviously. And then you're like, it not working puts you straight back to where you were.
mm,
It's sort of irrelevant. It's like I didn't get it. It didn't. And but these near misses also become important because I think people remember you, and so
mm,
it's a strange path that I think everyone treads through the industry, and I think
mm.
you have to like. It's hard not to, but you have to try not and look left at right and see what other people are doing and go, well, that seems to work. Why can't I make that work for me? And
Mm.
I think everyone has their own unique journey through it.
That's definitely a theme for, having actors on here that there's,
Right.
it's so easy to look at another guy and go, I wish I had that, or he made that, and it's so, and it's hard, man. You've got to,
It's
it's
really
like you've
hard.
got to be like a horse with like, eye guards on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it can be that's a bad one though. They showed you the check, but you weren't able to cash it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's
And I
hard.
was like, and the agent who was there at the time was like, and does that sound all right for you? Like we've gone through and I was like, yeah, I mean, that sounds great. Like, it's super strange.
Mm,
You get these sort of close misses and it feels like you're touching something that can, propel you to another space. And then when it
mm,
doesn't happen, you're like, okay, well, it didn't change anything. And the thing is, it's all okay. Like not getting jobs and getting jobs, and as time passes, you sort of start to understand that is the experience too. It is
mm,
it is part of it, and that thing you didn't get 5 years ago maybe wouldn't have led to the thing you're doing today. And so you kind of it's a very strange world to navigate, and it's mentally can be quite exhausting, I think,
mm,
if you don't just let it be.
mm.
Um, very little control in an actor's hands sometimes.
Yeah. It's not personal as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it can be such odd reasons why you get close but don't get it, and
yeah, yeah,
but it
yeah.
doesn't make it any easier, I guess. That's that's the thing.
No,
Um,
no, no. I had this other experience where I'd auditioned for Equus. Do you remember the play Equus?
yeah, what Daniel
Movie.
Radcliffe did. Was
Daniel
it?
Radcliffe did it, and then there was a
Yeah.
tour that Alfie
Uh,
Allen did, and I
right, yeah.
auditioned for the tour.
Mm,
And I spent ages on this scene, like really working my ass off. I
mm,
hadn't gone to drama school, as I said, so getting into theatre was really hard, and worked really hard on this scene. It's a really well written play, and I I went in and the director liked it and was like, actually, can you stay behind and read another scene for me? And I was like, oh my God, this is going really well. And so I stayed behind, read another scene, and on a Friday, I'm with some friends, and I get a call from my agent to say that I got the lead in Equus. So I'm like celebrating with my mates, and I tell another friend of mine who's an actor, and he's like, the tour of Equus. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think Alfie Allen's doing that. And I was like, oh. So then on the Monday, I call my agent, and she's like, let me get back to you. And she calls me back, and she's like, there's been a mistake. They've offered you the understudy.
Oh no, that's
I had
heartbreaking.
already been, I had a heartbreak, and I was there celebrating, telling all my family, my mates, and I didn't do it. I didn't do the
Yeah,
understudy because I was like, it would just be quite painful, I think, watching
yeah,
someone do this part every night. Um, but like, you know, there's
yeah,
these awful experiences that are really scarring. I mean,
yeah,
I was celebrating, like, I was with
yeah.
friends there, and my mates, they knew I wanted to be an actor. They knew I was hesitant about the fact that maybe, having not gone to drama school, like, how was I going to make this work? And
Mm.
so when I got it, they were like, "Oh, mate, let's get some drinks in. Let's, and we and then had to
Yeah,
call them
that's
all back. And
heartbreaking,
one was
man.
like, guys, just to let you know,
Oh God,
I didn't actually get it.
that's the worst. That's the worst,
Brutal.
and it is that thing of like, don't believe it until you're there on set filming it, or in that case, on stage. Like
Yeah.
you just never
Yeah.
know until you're really doing it, and then even halfway through a film, and then they'll cut it off, and funding will go
That's it.
down. Or,
That's it.
God, that's
Yeah.
tough, man.
Yeah.
That is tough. But a thing you said there struck me, that there's always someone else that's going to be there getting the roles, and you
Mhm.
know if you're going to get it or not, but you're going to be that guy to someone. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be the Alfie
Yeah.
Allen, or you're going to, so you could, the roles you've got, people are going to be like, I got really close, and they'll be telling a story on a podcast going, I nearly got this role.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's nice that, do you ever look back and think, oh, it's been up and down, it's been hard, but do you allow yourself to look at where you are now and go, this is great. This has turned out great.
Yeah. I feel truly, truly grateful. You know, I look back over the last 10, 15 years, and it's weird because you look back and you see the work.
Hmm.
You don't see the anxiety in between and the bits where you're not working. So I think it's always really easy for, especially on the outside, to look at yourself or other people, and you just see what they've been doing, and it
Hmm.
looks, you know, you don't see the other the slightly less sweet side to it, I guess. But
Hmm.
I do feel really grateful. I mean, I remember the agent I'm with now, Sarah Camlett. She's wonderful, and I remember when I first joined over 10 years ago, and we had a long conversation about the sort of work I'd want to do, and what I was interested in personally. I'm a big film fan, and so I just spoke to her about stuff I liked, and she listened to all of that and did what was within an agent's power to try and usher, things in a certain direction. As you can only aim at what's out there. But I look back at all the sort of things I'd said to her, and I'm like, we did a lot of it. I got to do a huge sci-fi show on Foundation, and I got to do some cool indie films, um and Those About to Die. And I was like, actually, I feel truly, truly grateful to be on it, and to be on the podcast now talking about it is like I have reached a point where I'm like, actually, things did work out, and yeah, I've got to be on productions and work with some truly wonderful people, and
Hmm.
you never know if it's all going to end tomorrow. It's like there's no future guarantee just because of what has happened, and I hope I can continue doing that. If the next 10 years are any way similar to the last, I'd take that for sure. Yeah.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly.
Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/life and film, where you'll get episodes early and uncut, amongst other treats. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy this episode, please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life and Film Pod, and find our video episodes on YouTube by searching Elliot James Langridge Life and Film. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by Betterhelp. Do you work in the film industry? Are you freelance? Or perhaps you have a 9 to 5? No matter what you do, mental health affects us all. I struggled early on in my career with the uncertainty of if and when I would ever work again, struggling to pay my bills, or simply with anxiety. Don't know about you, but being an actor, it's very important for me to maintain structure in the downtimes, and I found not only exercise, but talking to someone for me was a game changer. And so Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, Betterhelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, BetterHelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm.
And back to the show.
Well, just looking at, because I've been aware of your career. Didn't watch you when you were in Grange Hill, but
What?
yeah, that I did watch Grange Hill, but again, I would have been really young at the time, so I would have, at that age,
Yeah,
you don't really distinguish actors from characters.
sure.
But I was a big fan of the show. But like the first thing I saw you in, where I remember watching and going, that guy's really good, was Tormented, which may be a bit of a weird thing to say. I don't know like how that ranks on your list of projects that you've done, but I loved that film when it came out, and I remember thinking you were brilliant in it, and that was around the time that I was kind of contemplating, do I want to try and do something like this? And that was one of the films where I went, that I'd love to do a film like that. That's
Yeah.
such a cool movie. Working on you've done a lot of TV and you've done a mixture of everything. But Tormented, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but it was one of
Mhm.
your kind of first films.
Yeah. It was a big job for me.
Yeah.
It was like prior to that, I had been doing, as we've said, bits of TV,
Mm-mm.
and the long running TV where there's like, I mean, how many episodes of Holby City are there a year? There's like
Yeah.
hundreds.
Yeah.
And so, I'd done an odd ep of these super long running TV shows, and they're great for earning a bit of money and learning your skill, but there's no sort of momentum behind that kind of stuff. It's just it is just sort of a gig that you're doing. But Tormented was the first thing that it was like they got like quite a nice cool young cast.
Mm.
It's a film. I was the lead, the male lead in it, and yeah, I mean that definitely felt like a turning point, and probably the first turning point, where I felt like I had something to show people. I had a film that it's a fun British horror comedy. It's not going to change the world, but we've made a really cool low budget movie, and it was very different from anything else that I'd done. It had investment, and it had an advertising budget, and people watched it. It was like this thing that people. It had a small cinema. I think it was a few weeks at a few cinemas, and that was definitely a big turning point for me. And off the back of that, I think Centurion came about, because it was Pathé at the time. I don't know if Pathé still
Yeah.
exists, but they
Yeah.
they were like, I don't know if they're still around anymore, but
Yeah.
if they are, I think they may be just distributors. I don't know if they're making films, but it was the same people that went on and did Centurion, and so they were like, well, let's get Dimitri in this, and yeah, that is that very key to get going, I think.
I mean, I have to say, I've got it on DVD, so it's
Do you
obviously,
really? I
yeah, yeah,
never
yeah.
know.
Honestly, I bought it when it came out. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's mad.
But it's a movie where I can see, you felt like it was a shift, and it was something when I was watching it, I felt like I was like, who's this guy? So it was obviously it was like a moment.
Okay.
But going on to bigger jobs, bigger projects, you've obviously worked on like bigger budget things. I mean, I mean, your latest project, obviously, I don't know what the budget is on it, but having watched the first couple of episodes, I was like, Amazon they've been chucking everything at this one, I think. But going from, something like Tormented to a big budget Amazon series, what the difference is obviously between TV and film. But Those About to Die is it's huge. It's like Gladiator as a series. Is the job still the same though? It doesn't matter the difference there. You're still kind of, there to do the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. The job is the same. It's on those bigger scale productions. Obviously, it's usually more stress for other people. So the production for like costume on Those About to Die was insane. They had to make from scratch over 200 costumes, I think. So they've got just a team, and we started production and started shooting, and they were still having to, make these costumes. So, and you're having to get actors in, you've got to fit them, you've got to make it, refit them, make adjustments. So the scale becomes quite stressful for other departments, sometimes even more so, the set builders and everything. For us, I think the job is the same, you learn your lines and you come on set and you bring everything that you've researched and all your prep, and then you sort of let it go to see what happens in the moment. And that's true of, I think, anything that you're doing. I guess some of the differences are like, for a job like Those About to Die, I had to learn chariot racing and stuff. So you have this additional thing that you've got to go and do, and there's time allocated for that. And so I flew to Rome and had to learn to spend time with horses and clean the shit out the stables and feed them and clean them. And then ended up, on carriages and eventually on a four-horse chariot. So there's those elements that change, but those are things that usually every job has its own little unique thing that you have to try and tap into. It's not always as obvious as something like chariot racing. But no, the job is the same. You do feel the difference in those other things, like when there's a huge budget, there's a slightly nicer catering maybe than you're used to, and those little things that make the day go a little easier. But the job is the same. Yeah.
That can be dangerous though. If you've got good catering, but you're in shape in this show. Like I can imagine if it's a long old shoot, you've got to be quite disciplined when it comes to that kind of thing.
And it's hard in Italy with all the food. Like the
Yeah.
food is, I mean, it's a cliche to say it, but it really is true. Like the food is amazing there.
Mm.
And so I was like, I can't do pizza and pasta every night, because Roland wanted obviously Scorpus to be this athlete.
Mm.
And so there was a lot of nights everyone's getting, second bowls of pasta and, another glass of red wine. And I'm like, oh, just have another salad for this week, I think. But
Yeah.
um,
Italians do carbs very well.
they do the best carb. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah,
carb. Yeah.
yeah. And obviously this show's got an incredible cast, but working with someone, an absolute icon, um, there's not many people like I was about to get his name wrong, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. Who are you going to
Yeah,
say?
I'm like, yeah, I know who Anthony Hopkins is. I don't know why I had a massive brain fart there. But Anthony Hopkins is, to anyone of any generation, really,
Yeah.
he's a huge star. But was there like a kind of a pinch yourself moment when you realized you were cast alongside someone like that?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, I don't have any scenes with him, so I didn't get to like act opposite him or anything.
But on
But
paper, on paper.
on paper, yeah, definitely, yeah, it's official. Um, but no, it was strange, and Jojo, and Tom, who had most of the scenes with Anthony, we would always be like, "How was it?" And they'd tell us, and
Yeah, yeah.
they had a great time, working with him, and told us, what he's like on set. And I think he's just having fun. I think
Mhm.
for Anthony, it's like, I guess it's a few things. He's done it for so long that he's so comfortable doing it, and I think he still really genuinely loves acting.
Mm.
Um, and I think that is coming from someone like him to still love it with that passion and not be sort of jaded by it.
Yeah.
Um, because I think some actors can get like that, or they reach a certain level of success and they just keep doing it because it's available to them. Whereas I think with Anthony, I think he really still loves it. And that's, yeah, amazing. I sort of feel like I'm half lying when I say I got to work with him, because I didn't quite get to work with him, but I still get to say I got to work with him, and so that is amazing, because as you said, he is a once in a generation actor
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
He really is. He's incredible. His the breadth of his work is
Mm.
unreal. Yeah,
Yeah, well, if you look back at how long he's been working as well, it's
great.
generations of actors. It's crazy. I'm 2 episodes in, so you could have just completely lied to me. I mean, I've got loads of I've got a fight sequence with him.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. But now I know you've spoiled it for me. I know they never meet. They
Damn,
never.
sorry. Yeah,
Spoiler
spoilers.
alert! Spoiler alert to anyone watching this. I'm always keen to. I like to watch parts of shows before I talk to someone to know what it's about and get into it. But I never want to watch the whole thing, because when I first started doing the podcast, I would just spoiler it. I'd ruin it for the
Oh,
audience.
I
So
see.
now what I
Right.
do is I
Okay.
always watch about half of it, and then I watch the rest after I've done the
That makes
podcast.
sense. Okay.
Because I blow it every time. Otherwise, I'll say something about I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, no, icons like that. I mean, you've worked with plenty of amazing people, not only, actors, but some of the directors as well, and then the shows you've worked on, and the people in general. Is there anyone, put it out there as a, make it happen? Is there someone that you would love to work with, whether it be a director or a writer or actor, anyone that you'd love to, get up there
I,
and
I,
actually have a
I
scene
would.
with?
I mean, yeah, actually have a scene with. Yeah, I mean, I would really love to work with Jonathan Glazer. Um, I just think his films are. I've been a big fan since Sexy Beast, and that
Mm,
was,
mm,
and his music videos too. He did stuff with
mm,
Jamiroquai, and but I just think the sort of films he makes is the the sort of philosophy of it is what I'm really into in film.
mm,
He really dedicates um the time and energy into telling the story. It's like the needs of the story really emerge because of the amount of time he spends with the material. And then his films are like all these almost little alien artifacts, because they're not like anything else.
mm,
Because he's not sort of using stuff that's out there, in terms of cinema form or cinema language. He's kind of going, I'm going to do it. Whatever this film needs is how I'm going to make it. It's kind of Kubrick-esque in that way, I think. And
mm,
yeah, so he's someone, and obviously Paul Thomas Anderson.
mm,
I love his work. But I guess Jonathan Glazer, being a fellow Brit as well,
mm,
I love that we have him.
mm.
Um, and I'm so, you have no idea what he's going to do next. You look at his 4 films, and you just
Yeah.
can't really fathom what he'd make next.
Mm,
In terms of the style and the story, all of it. It's so different. The sound score that he used Michael Levy in the last 2 films, and she's incredible. Um, yeah, he's someone that really interests me.
mm. Well, that doesn't feel like. Yeah, I mean, like I can imagine that happening tomorrow. It feels like you've done so
Please,
much stuff. Yeah, we'll put this out into the ether, and
we'll put it out there. Yeah.
yeah, we'll put it out there. We'll put it out there.
Most embarrassing moments, yeah.
There was an audition for, I think, when I think back now, I think it was a Roland Emmerich film. Do you remember what was the one? It was 2000 BC.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, the one with the
Caveman.
yeah.
So I think I hadn't been fully briefed before I got to the audition. So I get there, and the casting director comes out and is like, there's also a girl in the waiting room. She's like, the two of you can come in and do the audition together. So we're like, okay. And then they're like, okay, you can get into your underwear. And so she gets down into underwear. And I was like, I didn't know that that's what because obviously in the film, they're sort of, nude in the film. And so they wanted to just see how you move. And I started panicking because I was like, what boxers have I put on today? And I was like, checking. I was like, God, they've got the holes in them, but it's fine. And then I had to hold hands with the girl, and we walked around the room while they filmed us. And then they were like, "That's great, guys, thanks." And we walked out again. And I remember just being mortified because I was like, if I had known, I would have at least put on or gone and bought some nice underwear. But it was like, you know, those ones you've had in the drawer for about 7 years.
Your lucky
Yeah,
pants.
lucky pants, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, I would have thought actually maybe the holes might go with the character, maybe a little bit,
Yeah,
look a little bit
that's
more
true. I could have
rustic.
said, you know,
Yeah.
it was in character. Yeah.
If you
Um.
come in perfect Calvin Kleins, it would have been all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, that's brilliant. Thanks so much, man, and all the best with the show.
No,
I'm
thank
really
you.
enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. It's crazy like how things come back in fashion as well. I feel like obviously with the Gladiator 2 coming out, and then this has
Mhm.
just come out, and it feels like we're kind of, we've got a lot more
No,
shows that
you're
are
right.
going that way. And I love it. So hopefully it keeps going. But
Awesome.
all the best, man, and
Thanks,
yeah,
and
take care.
you too, man. Really good to meet you. I'm sure. I
Lovely
hope
to
we
meet.
cross paths again. Take care, mate.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. Cheers. Bye.
Take care now. Bye bye.
Thank you to our guest Dimitri and to his team at R&CPMK. Thank you as always to our sponsor, BetterHelp.